Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to some more Astral Chain, and today I'm going to kick off a little series for this week where I'm going to be covering the R3 missions of all of its cases. The R3 tier of missions are, in my opinion, the greatest challenges of Astral Chain outside of the Super Boss, of course, but in order to reach the Super Boss, you gotta beat these, and for those of you guys that are still inexperienced or you're trying to get your first forays into Platinum Ultimate difficulty, you're going to need all the help you can get, and that's what exactly we're doing today. So previously I did make a video that showed off the build that I use for the all of cases, but I decided that now we're going to do full-on playthroughs of each of these missions to show you guys my mindset, how I function within them, and how I use my builds effectively. Now granted, everyone approaches Astral Chain differently. Obviously, feel free to choose what works best for you guys, but before you guys begin doing the R3 cases, I highly recommend leveling up your Beast Legion and Axe Legion just enough so that you can give them the Blue Shield and the Howl abilities. These are the two most useful moves in the game, and you never want to be away from them, especially when things become very difficult. So quickly looking over my abilities before we get into the meat of the topic. Obviously, if you don't care about the build, you just want to get into the actual walkthroughs and you want to know how to beat them, feel free to look at the timestamps that I hopefully should have put up by now so you guys can know where to skip ahead to. You should also find them in the description, I'll add those as well. Okay, so looking over at my builds, the whole purpose of my playstyle is to have a hit rusher and a power charge for 3 of my 5 legions. The whole thing about power charge, what makes it so good, is that my combos will do as much damage as possible, and this does stack with the drink buffs that also come with the game. So one of the nice things about power charge is that when you're able to combo down your enemies as soon as possible, you'll be able to do a finishing move on them, which fully heals you, and you can repeat that over and over again. So as you can see over here, the Arrow Legion, the Sword Legion, and the Arm Legion will have hit rush given to them, and the thing is, for my Axe Legion and Beast Legion, I've given them both slow attack abilities. I'll talk a little bit more about abilities later, but the whole purpose of this is that while all those hit rushes are happening, the slow attacks will apply to them as well, so all of those hits that they do will eventually have a chance to proc the slow, which lets me finish my combos in relative safety. Now, going over to my Axe and Beast Legion, these are my 2 favorite legions in the entire game, and the focal points of my playstyle. So I've given Axe Legion the Blue Shield because it is the most useful move in the game. Essentially, what it does is that it prevents you from taking damage, even if you don't have any anti-stun or anti-paralyze or anti-fire. As long as it blocks it with the Blue Shield, then they will not affect you at all until they're all gone. One of the other good things about this too is that it just lets you have a little bit more added safety when you're doing your lengthy combos, and I've also given him the auto bind because auto bind is just a nice way to do some great damage with the follow-up sync attacks with the Axe Legion due to the fact that it can also trigger explosions. Then I've also gotten Beast. Beast, one of the most useful legions in the game and essential to master if you want to go to the hard difficulties thanks to how he deals with dodging attacks. I've given him the Speed Star to give me a little bit more mobility. It does come in handy with combos, but honestly, if I care more about damage, Power Charge is the better way to go about it through all the other legions. And then Howl. Howl, unlike Autobind or Chain Binding in general, is that the more you use Howl, the length or duration of the stun is going to stay exactly the same, making it very powerful. You can do a follow-up attack where you kick them up into the air and follow up with your legion, which lets you build up your residence very quickly as well, and obviously it's just a very good way to just generate momentum and stay in commanding position of your enemies when used in conjunction with the Blue Shield. Quickly going over my abilities, my Hit Rusher and Power Chargers all have the exact same skills. Quick cooldown plus 18% for the 2 slot and 35% for the 3 slot. It's pretty obvious why. We want to make sure we have these available as much as possible, and the nice thing about Hit Rushing is that it has a high chance of distracting the enemy. When your enemies are distracted, you will be able to attack from behind for some critical damage, which will make your kills much faster as a result. Now, going over to my Axe Legion over here, I've given him the Super Armor Omega along with the quick cooldown. Try to have the Super Armor Omega as a bonus ability. Feel free to change up what your main ability is for this one, but Super Armor Omega is insanely useful just because it prevents you from getting stuns when you're hit. However, this does not count for fire or paralysis or freezes, so keep that in mind too for when you're playing, but that's exactly where Blue Shield comes in. The whole point of Super Armor Omega is to make sure that I can finish my combos without being interrupted. I've also given him the slow attack, which is also insanely useful. Again, if you can get some better bonuses on your abilities, then try that as well. Okay, so then going finally to the Beast Legion, giving him the slow attack plus 6% and 10%. It's always nice to have some cooldowns simply because Howl is very, very useful. Honestly, if you want, you could replace the 6% slow attack with some cooldown reduction, but it's completely up to you. Otherwise though, more slow is always better, because once I activate the hit rush and then mount the beast, all those chances for slows will apply. I think that's pretty much all that has to be said. There's a lot of other important skills I could point out too, but these are what has worked for me and gotten me through endgame. Another skill I want to point out is Gravity Storm. Gravity Storm is very, very useful for maps that just have a ton of enemies for you to fight against. It's very, very good, but unfortunately it's not very effective against most bosses. But if that's something you want to have for the purposes of crowd control, then by all means go for this one. Otherwise, I think that's all we got. So what I'm going to do is that we're going to look at case R3-A1, A2, and B3. In my opinion, some of the most difficult challenges in what's otherwise a very, very difficult game. So let's take a quick look at this one. Okay, so as we kick things off with mission R3-A1, whenever you do the more difficult cases, it's always important to look at your item inventory. They restrict your inventory for a reason, and the whole reason why is because each of the challenges are designed with these loadouts in mind. Granted, as you become better and better and more proficient with your Legion usage and your combo usage, then you're going to use these a lot less. But it's very important to note when you have a stun grenade, always useful to have these in my opinion. And things like a grenade is just nice for some bonus damage, particularly against flying enemies, and of course your heals. If you ever see a Resomax inside of your inventory, you may wish to consider using this one immediately as soon as the mission begins, simply because you can just have it on a cooldown and then use it immediately once the situation presents itself. Otherwise though, I always start things off with a stun grenade. So the whole purpose of these missions and what makes them so interesting is that when you die, you get sent all the way back to the beginning, kind of similar to Platinum Ultimate difficulty. One of the things about this, and the main advantage you need to think about, is just knowing who is going to be in the next wave of enemies. So for this particular wave, it's going to be a very powerful greatsword user and 2 people that are going to shield him. You want to do as much damage as you can, but the best priority that you should have when it comes to killing order should be for the buffers first. Once you kill them, it's up to you just to take down that last guy. But thankfully, because we have Blue Shield and Howl, single target enemies are very, very easy to deal with. And so just quickly buffer cells up, run in, and now I'm going to immediately get onto Beast. Activate the Howl if I can. So now that we have the Howl activated, I should be able to get some finish-offs for the 2 buff people, or the 2 buffers, if I can. So what would happen here is that if I didn't kill those guys immediately, then I would have to go through the arduous process of needing to disable them and then kill them, but thankfully we don't need to do that anymore thanks to the placement of Beast's Howl. It has a very large area of effect, similar to a stun grenade, but unlike a stun grenade, the nice thing about this is that the duration does not decay. So here it goes, more of these Howls. Whenever I activate a Howl, I always want to open up my sequence of going into a hit rusher, usually sword, power charge, and then into a hit rush, and follow things up with an auto bind for that damage. Even though there are enemies that might be immune to binds, it's very, very important to do your auto binds just because that follow-up is insanely powerful, and then you can follow that up with more combos. Okay, so the next wave is going to be 3 elementalists of electricity, fire, and ice. I'm going to try to prioritize the ice one first, and while they're on their way up here, I'm going to do the hit rush, send out the arrows. I got hit by ice, which is very, very unfortunate. And switch over to Beast again. See what we can do. Kind of find some cover if I can. Howl. Now that I have everyone in the Howl, I can go for the Blue Shield, and then run in and immediately focus on her. Oh, camera, help me out here. Oh boy. You might throw a grenade just for safety. Oh, and that auto-bind missed because of that ramp. Goodness. That's fine. I have Blue Shield, so I can completely be safe while doing this, and I'm immune to any of the crowd control effects of the electricity or the fire, which is very, very good. Sorry, not fire, it's wind. My mistake. Okay, so whenever I beat an enemy, I'm going to go back onto Beast again. Let me avoid some damage. And I want to try to group them up so I can grab them both with the Howl stun, which might be easier said than done. Thankfully, there's a lot of space for us to work with. And again, as soon as I activate the Howl, immediately go into my sequence of Power Charge into Hit Rush, and start going to my combos. One of the other things too is that with this follow-up combo with a stun attack, you can roll cancel, because there is a bit of a landing lag. You can roll cancel, usually to position yourself behind them, and when you do, you will get some backstab damage, which is insanely powerful with the axe. Just like that though, we got both of them done. Now, the other thing I want to mention too is that when it comes to finish off, always try to go for finish offs, even if you're at full HP and full energy. The reason why is because it'll make you immune to any attacks that come your way. Not only that, but it's also going to just position you or put you in a more favorable position, and that's very, very important for when you get overwhelmed. Most of the time, you will have enough time to hop back onto Beast. Ooh, celebrity appearance by JRPG. Anyways, the next wave is going to be a combination of the electric and wind type enemy. It's been a huge boss with a lot of HP, so we want to make sure that we're ready to ambush him. So that's exactly what's going to happen here. We do not have any power drinks, so that will not be a factor for us. And partway through this fight, what's going to happen is we're going to be attacked by another one of those buffers, which is very, very bad news for us. So again, activate all your abilities, hit rush, blue shield, and then start doing some combos. See how much we can do with this. Okay, so the buffer isn't quite here yet. I'm not sure if we'll be able to handle this in time. It's probably going to buff him right before it starts, huh? Oh yeah, it would. Okay, the moment this happens, hop back onto Beast and get out of there. It's not worth the risk. Okay, so one buffer's underground and one is going to be in the air. We want to go for the air one first because that is the easiest to find. Switch to axe. There's the finish off. The moment I get this finish off, I'm immediately jumping back onto Beast. And then I'm going to run back to sort of like reposition everyone if I can. Ooh, and this guy, he's open. You can go straight for our Howl and finish this guy off. We don't have the blue shield yet for axe, but at least we can finish off this big bad guy. Okay, so we still have some buffers in play, so I'm just gonna go for this one that's underground. Oh wow, that was really, really bad timing. The lightning bolt spawns right on top of where the guy was hidden. Anyways, just run on the beasts, dig them up, and finish them off. Again, go for your finish offs even if you're at full HP, because that's going to give you some invincibility. We can also go for the blue shield if we can. And auto bind. This is going to do heavy damage to this guy over here. I think this next combo should kill. Yep. And now that we only have one person to deal with, we can honestly take our sweet time, but we don't need to, because there's really nothing else left for us to collect here. So again, go for some attacks, maybe get some power charge while we're at it. And just like that, we are finished. This is a very, very tricky one, but the whole point of this challenge is to teach players how to prioritize their targets. It's always important to take out the buffers first. Honestly, if you can take out the buffers before they even activate their abilities, then you are good to go. And that's what makes it so nice, is that if you could prioritize your enemies properly, you will come out on top much, much more effortlessly than otherwise. Anyways, other than that though, let's quickly move on to number A2. Okay, welcome to mission R3-A2. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This particular level is really, really annoying. Okay, so before you begin, you may wish to use Armed Legion to get this out of the way, then open up the case in order to get some medicine. Otherwise, though, they are pretty well stocked. They also give you a Rezo Max at the beginning, if that's what you want to go for. If it makes you more comfortable, you could just activate this at the beginning of the mission, just consume this and then never have to worry about it, and then activate it once you find yourself in danger. Otherwise though, what's going to happen here is that we're going to go through a beast's obstacle course, which can take up quite a bit of patience. It never kills you unless you get crushed by the blocks as they're closing in. It's very annoying when that happens, but at least it lets you retry. For the most part though, the key to maneuvering the beast effectively is to constantly hold forward. In order to do your turns, you would use the right stick to steer yourself. If you try to do all your sharp turns with the left stick, that's going to cause problems because there's a bit of a delay, and that delay is going to cost you the precious seconds for these floors to disappear. So let's go ahead and do this. Oh boy, I don't like this. It's It's annoying. The best thing I can think of, the best advice I can give you guys is just follow the red matter as best as you can. And also, one thing too, is that if you see the block, the first block, moving towards where you're going, then by all means keep going towards it, because soon enough, it's going to get out of the way. Also, don't be impatient. Don't immediately jump onto Beast and try to jump onto it by jumping off the platform, because there is still quite a bit of landing lag, and that's exactly something you don't want. So again, following my own advice here. Okay, so I'm going to take this shortcut, and as I do that... Yes, so that is that out of the way. If you have very, very low HP, feel free to go for the medicine. Otherwise, though, there's nothing wrong with playing chicken and then kind of focusing down these frog enemies, because if you finish them off, that is also going to be full health. As you can see right here, get all my health back. That obstacle course, it's better to go for the shortcut rather than take the long way around and then constantly fail, because it's kind of going to be a waste of time anyways. And let's do some spin attacks if I can. If only you guys could have seen that, but the camera was not being cooperative that time. And I've said in the previous segment, don't be afraid to go for finish-offs, even if you don't need the HP. Reason being, it gives you momentum. It makes sure that you're always in a good position to fight, and also making sure that you have full energy and full HP, which mean everything. Okay, so this first wave is going to be pretty fun. It's going to be a bunch of frog enemies surrounding a giant frog enemy, and eventually we're going to be joined up with some more. So my main way to initiate is to target the main frog, go for the Howl, immediately switch over to Sword for a power charge. Once the power charge activates, go for a blue shield, continue running around. The stun would run out by then, so I'll go for an auto bind, and that is going to be my combo. Let's see how much health we have left. Oh, wow. He died so fast I didn't even have time to finish him off. Okay, so about by now, there should be another family of frogs heading our way. And that's fine. I'm going to do the exact same sequence. So again, get onto Beast. Howl. Remember, that's going to hit the entire family too, so that's awesome. Hit Rush. And then Axe. Jump. Roll cancel this. And go for some follows with auto binds. And then the finish off. Okay, so after I finish this last enemy here, there's going to be 2 wolves and a worm-type enemy. Honestly, the best priority is to go for the small guys first, and then focus on the worm later, if you can. Okay, we'll go for the small guys first. Did I get the other wolf in the crossfire? Oh, yes, I did. So I'll go for another auto-bind. Now, one of the nice things about Autobind too is that if you know where the enemy spawns, then you can camp over that spot and then kill them with it. And that's exactly what you saw just now. Okay, so this next part is going to be 2 humanoid enemies and 2 worms. Go for the humanoids first. Go for the humanoids first. The reason why is because the worms have a tendency to run away and hide, and that is perfect for us and our purposes. Blue shield. And then do those combos. The 2 Capaneases, you might have... If you saw the previous segment, then we already fought one of these. These guys are pretty small fry. Very, very fun stuff, man. It's great to be able to get all these sequences in order. You want to have those power charges. It's funny because in a previous video I mentioned that I prefer Speed Star, but now I prefer this. I prefer Power Charge. Heavy hits? Absolutely. So as you see over there, one of the worms actually kind of went to the other side. Still managed to hit me, but we're still in a pretty good position to finish this guy off. There's the finish off. And then now we get us to focus on this one. I'm actually going to take a little bit of time with this next enemy. Reason being, I want my cooldowns to be ready for the next wave. Next wave is going to be insanely dangerous, and you're going to see why. It's going to be an electric type wolf beast enemy, as well as a giant power type. So what's going to happen here is that the moment they spawn, I'm going to activate a Howl. There's the Howl. Oh boy. Oh, okay, this is tricky. I need to activate a stun grenade once he stops. Stun grenade? Because the thing about the Teomessian is that it's insanely annoying. You gotta take out the Teomessian first. Thankfully, we have stuns on the way, so that might help us. We gotta kill this thing before all of our shields are broken. Let's use another stun grenade. Stun grenade auto binds. Oh, but he avoided it that time. Okay, we gotta regroup. Beast. See, this is why this enemy is so dangerous. I need to start looking at my HP as well. Okay, be very careful with this. Oh, I hate this attack. It's gonna hit a lot. Okay, go for the heal, go for this. Get in position. Howl. Yes, I got the howl. Okay, beast again. Sword. Hit rush. Can I go for axe? Stay in one spot, please. Thank you. Machine, you need to focus. You cannot underestimate this thing, because he will hit you for a lot of damage. Okay, so wait for Howl to come off cooldown. And we're going to do the exact same sequence that we did for the frogs, actually. So again, go to a power charge, hit rush, axe, auto bind again, from behind for all that extra damage. And then there's the finish off. That was really, really close. I made a huge mistake with opening that sequence. I should have been right on top of the spawn point, or I should have positioned myself while killing that second worm beforehand. But otherwise, though, we've made it out. If you need to, that fight would have been the one to start using your Rezo Max. So keep that in mind, too, if that's something you need to do. But otherwise, though, business as usual. And also, we got through that obstacle course pretty nicely, so I'm proud of myself for that one. But the nightmare has only just begun, because we are now going to R3-B3. Oh boy! Okay, folks, welcome to mission R3-B3. In my opinion, the most difficult out of all the Olive's cases. This is brutal. Reason being, this is some of the deadliest enemy combinations that you're ever going to see in Astral Chain, and you got to make sure you're prepared. Each of the strategies that I have so far have been able to get me through this, but even then, you got to be very patient with how you go about this, and knowing when to ration out the buffs and supplies that they give you. So knowing what is going to be in the next wave is the key to your success here. So this first wave is going to be a Jenna Anderson flanked by an Ice Witch and an Eris. You want to go for the Ice Witch first, then focus down the Jenna, and then finally finish things off with the Eris. This is going to be brutal. So if you want to start things off with a Rezo Max, you might want to use this to take down Jenna, but you also might want to save this for a later encounter depending on how you're feeling. And of course, Fishy Water, very, very useful. I'm planning on saving this for one of the later bosses in this little run of ours, and then finally the stun grenades, which are always good to have. Okay, so the moment I cross this line of red matter, they're gonna spawn, and I'm gonna send in beasts, howl if I can, very, very good, and do my typical combo, hit rush, and then get that chain binds. Chain binds, very, very good because it also got the Jenna. Okay, so now I have these two bunched together. Yes, they're grouped up. Very, very good. And I want to burst down this Jenna as soon as possible. Don't want to take any chances. Immediately go for the auto bind the moment you finish off your kickflip. Okay, so now we're up against an Eris. Do not underestimate her. If your combo can't finish her off, switch to beasts. Wait for her to do an attack. And go for another run. Oh, she's gonna go for an attack, but thankfully the slow caught her. And that is that. Honestly, very difficult to control, but if you can initiate with a howl at the very beginning, that's very, very good. So, when this next part begins, keep note of where you just came from when you entered this mission, and then look at the opposite side. This is where the next wave of enemies is going to enter, so I'm just going to quickly get my Fishy Water ready, because the moment the boss enemies spawn after this little episode is finished, then we're going to just completely jump on them and go for as much damage as possible. Okay, so again, get ourselves in position first before we do anything. Okay, buffing time. Here we go. Whoop! Failure! Got really excited with this new controller of mine. That was really, really bad. Sorry. I didn't mean to show you guys my secrets. Oh boy. Okay, so once that's done, I need to focus down either of these enemies first. These guys are pretty annoying to deal with, but the sword has less defenses to worry about. Okay, so that's out of the way. Here we go. Blue shield, yes sir. And we're going to finish off the great sword first. Thankfully we have all our buffs, so we're going to do quite a bit of damage. Unfortunately, our fishy water buff has run out. But when we're only focusing down one enemy at a time, it shouldn't be that bad. Howl damage. Oh yeah. Go for another power charge. Absolutely. Oh wait, he's going to stay stunned for a bit. That's good, so we can actually follow up with some more. Keep very, very close look at that. Roll behind him, go for another autobind. And this would be some pure backstab damage. And he's done. Okay, so this next wave is going to be the one that potentially makes or breaks the run. In my opinion, this is the most difficult of what is already a very difficult encounter. So the moment that these guys spawn, summon the wolf. Okay, managed to get a stun on them. Go for another power charge. Open up my shield. Okay, so here's the Bardiche Legion. I want to finish this guy as soon as possible. Go for the Legions before you go for the Raven. The Raven is surprisingly tanky. And also, don't forget that also gives you the full heal, so that's what we want to get. And now our next focus is going to be the Blade Legion. This is where patience becomes very important for what we do. Stun Grenade? Oh yeah, we got him with a Stun Grenade. Nice! So we'll see how much we can do here. Stun Grenade, very, very useful too for dealing with these guys. And honestly, we can actually go broke for stun grenades if we wanted to. But do not underestimate this enemy. He will destroy you if you're not careful. I missed. Okay, so blue shield is on the way. I am going to use blue shield once it comes back, because I will not take any chances with this guy. This guy will destroy me if I'm not careful. We're lucky there was no Arrow Legion being summoned just yet. Okay, so this is where things can finally finish. And we have full resonance now, so that's good. That was funny, I can't believe I paused the game. Oh, right. Okay, so the thing is, I have blue shield on cooldown right now, but I very much want it. I very much want it for what's coming up next. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stall for a little bit if I can. There's some red matter that I could take advantage of too. Never mind. Oh. Okay. Get ready. Might as well use the Bone Pod. No, but Bone Pod takes away my damage, huh? So do the Barrier Field then. And Beast. Okay, there's gonna be a Jenna Anderson. Axe with a blue shield. And to finish off the Jenna first. Okay, so Ares is going to be kind of annoying because all of his attacks have insane range on them. But what's going to happen here is I'm going to focus on going for some hit rushes and auto binds. And the nice thing about auto binds, again, is that it will also grab the Ares, which is very, very important for us. so I can just focus on finishing my combos off. So again, Ares is going for some damage, that's fine. I can actually go for another stun grenade, and then finish off Jenna. So, now that that's in play, I'm going to wait for my blue shield to come off cooldown. Actually, no. We can finish him off right now, because now he's split up. So what's going to happen, I'm going to switch, and go straight into the Giles theme mode. Here we go. Please enjoy this anime moment. Oh yeah, because I forgot there's slime too, huh? Oh, stop jumping into the slime, please. Let me just hit ya. Oh, man. Okay, the Super Armor Omega didn't help us that time, but that's okay, because we are at a pure advantage situation right now. Target the big frog if you can, and finish off Ares. This would be the perfect time to use the Rezo if you haven't already. Oh man, that actually took me 3 attempts. This is a very difficult mission. Don't be afraid if it takes you a long time. The good thing, and also I guess bad thing, about needing to do these over and over again whenever you die is that it makes you more familiar with how your timings work, especially if you're spawn camping your enemies. You'll actually kind of find that the main advantage that you'll always have is knowing what's ahead, and I hope these videos help you guys with that, because knowing what's just ahead is going to be just very, very important. You can set up the auto-bind, you can set up a howl, you can just prevent your enemies from attacking you, and that's kind of the whole point, and that is what my playstyle revolves around. This has been a very difficult one, and honestly, we've actually gotten the most difficult stuff out of the way first, but obviously everyone experiences difficulty differently, so in the coming days we're going to be looking at some more missions, and with more missions comes different strategies, or kind of different uses of strategies, kind of showing you guys my mindset for whenever I do these things. Sometimes it's patience, other times it's being willing to kind of just go deep when you can, and that's exactly what I hope you guys learned from today's video. That is it for the R3-A1, R3-A2, and R3-B3 missions, you guys. Some of the most difficult ones. If you made it this far, congratulations. You have basically made it. But there is still some more missions on the way that I'm willing to look at, especially for you guys who are very, very new to Astral Chain still. Anyways, guys, thank you very, very much for watching, and as usual, see you guys next time. Take care.